Right, everyone, thank you very much for coming today for the announcement of Joseph Parker's next fight. A little bit of housekeeping from me. Obviously, these events don't happen without our sponsors, so we'd like to thank Christchurch, New Zealand, V-Base, Christchurch Airport, The Rock, and there's one other. David?
Christchurch, New Zealand.
Christchurch, New Zealand. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to be Joseph Parker's 27th fight. Alex Flores, who you guys will have read the press release, is a very hard-hitting American fighter. He's 17-1 with 15 KOs. And he's flown out to New Zealand today for the announcement of the fight. So just a little bit of housekeeping. So we're going to have some questions from the floor. David will make an address. We have some questions from the floor if anyone's got any. Then we will sign the contract here, which is we've been negotiating intensely over for the last week or so. All those negotiations are done. Then we'll break for one-on-ones. You can all have your time with Alex, and after that we'll do some shadow boxing in the ring. So I'll hand you over to David Higgins.
All right. Hey, look, thank you all for coming. These boxing promotions wouldn't be possible without the interest and support of the media, so we really appreciate the media outlets who do turn up and take an interest and help us communicate with the public. As Steve said, we're here today to announce formally the opponent for Joseph Parker's 27th professional bout. Joseph is coming off two somewhat unlucky losses and is in a rebuilding phase of his career, but rather than take a really soft option, which I don't think the public would appreciate, we've gone for a test in a puncher. So Joseph Parker will be fighting Alexander the Great Flores on 15 December at Horncastle Arena, Christchurch. Now, Alex I would call a knockout artist, and in boxing any heavyweight can knock out another heavyweight. So that's very risky, and the proof is in the pudding. Alex has 17 wins, only one loss. His loss was to the awkward southpaw world champion Charles Martin, and that was on only 2 weeks' notice. A very concerning fact for our team is that Alex, of his wins, has 15 knockouts, and 6 of those knockouts have come in the first round. Alex has sparred countless top heavyweights, including Andy Ruiz, who Joseph just overcome to win the WBO world title. Alex has sparred numerous rounds with Andy Ruiz and gone toe-to-toe. He was recently signed by the legendary promoter Roy Jones Jr, and Roy has a small boutique stable and he picks talent, so he obviously sees Alex as someone on the rise. So it's a big risk. If Joseph were to get unlucky and be knocked out by Alex here, a third loss in a row would be very career limiting, if not career ending. He'd certainly have to go back to the drawing board and have a serious think about the future. And finally, I've spent some time with Alex over the last couple of days. You never know what to expect. Alex is a married man, very clean living, doesn't drink, trains the house down. He's deadly serious. And he's not here to be an opponent, he's here to win the fight. So that's the message I'll be passing back to our team, who are Joseph and Kevin, who are training in Las Vegas, that, you know, this guy's to be taken very seriously. So I might invite Alex to say a few words and then we'll go into some question time.
Thank you. I want to thank David Higgins, Duco Promotions, for having me here. My promoter too, RJJ, they're not here, but they got everything sealed and done. I'm excited for this fight. The way I can describe it, it's when opportunity meets, let's say, I'll be ready for whatever Joseph Parker has to bring. You know, whether he boxes, whether he comes forward, I'll be ready for that. I already know before the fight starts, I'm probably a couple rounds down. Just like when Andy fought him, it was a very close fight. But other than that, you know, I just hope Joseph Parker's taking me seriously. Like David Higgins said, his last 2 fights he lost. There's no such thing as luck. He wasn't unlucky. He was just not the better fighter that night. And I will beat him December 15th. And I can't let it go to the scorecards because we know what happened when Andy fought him. You know, so I will stop him. People don't know who I am now, but December 15th, people will know who Alexander the Great Flores is.
Okay, guys, any questions for Alex?
I guess, how do you view this fight then, firstly, for yourself and your career?
For my career, I mean, it's an important fight for me. I mean, it's a life-changing opportunity. You know, I still have goals. You know, my goal is to, and my dream is to become the first Mexican-American heavyweight champion of the world. You know, and the one in front of that is Joseph Parker. You know, I know beating him will get me in the top 10 or wherever he's ranked. You know, so like I said, this fight, it's when opportunity meets preparation. I've been preparing for an opportunity like this, and it's finally presented. So I will be Parker. And I'm not saying this to sell the fight. I'm telling you because I'm a hardworking guy. I have goals. I have dreams. Parker already reached his. You know, I'm not saying he's not motivated. He can be motivated, but we all know motivation dies, and I'm driven for my goal.
What have you seen out of Joseph in his last 2 fights that you think you can exploit?
To be honest, I didn't see his last fight against Dillian Whyte. I seen the Joshua fight. I felt like he was a little more hesitant. You know, he was being too careful. If I was down on scorecards and I knew I had to win by knockout, I'd flip a coin and I'd go down trying instead of kind of going to the 12 rounds. You know what I mean? But to me, I feel like he does bad against pressure. I could be wrong. But from what I've seen against Dillian Whyte, you know, Joshua, he did put a little pressure against Joshua, but Joshua knew how to use his reach good. And I felt like he had trouble against Andy Ruiz. You know, like I said, before the fight started, Andy was already down 2 or 3 rounds. You know, so I can't let this fight go to decision.
So that will that influence your strategy?
My strategy is to win. Whatever he brings, I'll be prepared. Whether he's in a box or whether he's going to come forward, I'll be ready for that. You know, and like I said, people don't know who I am, and that's cool. Like, I don't mind that. But they're going to say, like, oh, well, what about your experience? You've never been 10 to 12 rounds. That's okay. That's how preparation comes in. You know, we spar for that time. You know, everybody has their first 10 or 12 rounders. You know, so that's how we prepare. We have that time of training, the sparring, the running, and all that.
So you talk about not wanting that fight to go to the scorecards. Is that just because of coming over and fighting here?
Yes, coming over to his hometown. I mean, if it does, I would have to make it very convincingly, drop him, you know, just make it one-sided fight. But other than that, yeah, my plan is not to let it go to the scorecards.
Well, what is your biggest assets? Tell us why you think you can beat Joseph Parker.
Because I'm driven. You know, I mean, I'm hungry. You know, my goals are what drive me to be Parker. You know, waking up in the morning, I have a strong why. You know, I'm not saying his isn't strong, but he already reached his goal. You know, we've seen the best Joseph Parker we've seen against Joshua, or even Dillian Whyte, whether the fight was supposedly a short notice camp or whatever. But we've seen the best Parker we could see. But you guys haven't seen the best Alexander Flores yet.
David, on that, Joseph's motivation after fighting Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, now coming on to Alexander, where do you think Joe's head is at ahead of this?
Well, he was champing at the bit to get back into camp. It's been a tricky promotion to put together, just because even though Joseph took those losses, he still looked good, nearly won with Whyte and first to take Joshua the distance. So it's hard to find people willing to step up. And that's, you know, a credit to Alexander Flores that he was willing to step up and take the fight, because it's not without risk for Alex here, especially in Joseph's home country. So, but no, Joseph's hungry. He knows that his career's on the line, and he knows he needs to win this fight emphatically and hopefully by stoppage.
Yeah, where do you, when you were in the midst of negotiations with Joseph as well, about what you wanted to try and get in terms of the next fight, and you say about how this is potentially career limiting, what process do you go through? It's
a tricky one. You can't put up someone really poor, because you can't run a promotion. No one's going to buy a ticket or the television, so that's not going to work. And it also does no service to Joseph, because you have to learn something from each fight. So we also can't bring, you know, a number 2 contender down. It's too expensive for a rebuild. It's not appropriate. So you have to balance that and find someone who is tricky, who offers something, who Joseph can learn from, and who has the courage to come to New Zealand and take the fight. And I think we've got the balance right. We've got a well-matched fight, and if Alex brings his A game and surprises us, he might win the fight. But if Joseph shows what he can do, he'll win the fight.
How important is this one for Joseph then?
Well, it's probably the most important fight yet, because you know, in the last 2 fights, Joseph set himself up for life. This fight, losing would be catastrophic, so it's the most important fight yet.
Okay, guys, we'll break now. Just a couple more things from me. Obviously, Shane Cameron's been good enough to lend us his facility today. Shane was a part of the first ever Duco boxing promotion. David, how many shows ago was that now?
I think this is boxing promotion number 32, and it's nearly exactly 10 years. It's been a very interesting 10 years.
And obviously Shane has just disappeared around the corner there. He'd have some thoughts on the fights if any of you guys wanted to talk to him. Also, Joseph Parker and Kevin Barry will be available on the phone this afternoon if anyone would like to get thoughts from those, so we can organise that for you. And so we'll break out, we'll sign the contract for a vision opportunity, and then we'll do what's some one-on-ones guys.
Thank you, Alex.
Sounds good.
Good luck. You need it.
Tell Joseph about it.
Alright guys, one-on-ones. Michael, would you like to